You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 730, the top personal benefits of exercise, with guest Josh Garrett.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hello, friends. Before I get into this episode with Josh Garrett talking about the benefits of exercise, I want to talk to you about the benefits of having an amazing health coach like Sarah from Team Fit With Me, who has been my health coach since October of 2020. She's been absolutely amazing. She's been on this podcast multiple times because she found my podcast right after I first started it in 2018. And this podcast has been a part of Sarah's journey, and now she is a part of mine, and it's amazing. And if you are looking for somebody to help you learn about nutrition, figure out your nutrition, your exercise, etc., help you with some mindset, especially if you got issues with gut health or thyroid diseases or PCOS or hormonal dysfunction, Sarah has labs she'll run you through, and she's got a medical team. She's got a food relationship coach partner. She's got a lot of amazing women on her team that will help you find whatever you're looking for, your goals, knowledge, etc. And right now you can get 0% financing offered through PayPal for all packages paid in full, and 10% off month one of all packages, plans, and add-on services. Just go to teamfitwithme.com/poundthis, which you will find in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine, joined by Josh Garrett. What's up, Josh?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
So to reiterate for somebody that you haven't been on here in a while, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
As I went down from 5 episodes a week to 1 to 2. So this is just the odds are not in your favor.
Right. I didn't make the cut.
Yeah, right? Get out of here. Let's end this right now. So Josh is the owner of Cincy 360 Fitness, where I am a trainer and where you're also a trainer, and you've been on this podcast for over 3 years now, which that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we, what was it, like 50 some episods?
Yeah, we might be up to, we're inching towards 60 or something like that now.
So I kind of made the cut.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Maybe.
So the topic that we wanted to cover today is actually Josh's topic. So if you hate it, it's Josh's fault.
Thanks. Email at info.
Yeah, exactly. So you wanted to talk about, we were talking about like movement and the benefits of exercise and how it would be kind of fun to do like a deep dive into research of that. And you're like, that's a lot of research. Why don't we just talk about the top 5 benefits that we feel in general for people and for ourselves? And I would just say, yeah, regular exercise, movement. That's the way I looked at that. Is that how you're going to answer this question?
Right. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be like in the gym 5 days a week, an hour workout. It's just, do you get that 150 minutes, I think was what Dr. Timmerman's recommendation was?
Something like that.
I think it was 150 minutes per week of some sort of like, you're challenging yourself a little bit. So if you're going for a walk, it's a little bit more of a brisk walk than just a leisurely stroll.
But I will say with that,
biking,
though,
all of that stuff.
If you don't walk at all and you don't do anything, I would say even a light walk is pushing yourself from your normal boundaries.
Yeah, like if you're, seated for 8 hours during your job, just going for a 45 minutes to an hour walk is, you check the boxes exercise. Like everybody thinks of exercise as being like this, you got to be sweating and you're almost puking, and it's like that's one extreme of exercise. You don't have to do that to get the benefits of exercise.
And we actually did an episode Earlier this year, I want to say maybe the beginning of the summer, where there was research done talking about how actually like regular HIIT exercises, high intensity interval training, like every day, like halts you from your goals rather than helps you.
Yeah.
So it's like exercise is an interesting balance, and it feels like so many people are like all or nothing.
Yes.
Like we're going hard or we're not doing a damn thing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it's like you said, I mean, both extremes have negative side effects of doing both. You know, everybody classifies health as, well, I get to the gym 6 days a week, and it's like, yeah, but if you're super stressed at your job, you're not sleeping, you're not eating appropriately, and you're going to the gym 6 days a week and just crushing it, that's not healthy. You're actually damaging your body, you know? So I think that it just gets, like you said, it just gets lumped into this all or nothing category, and it's just not the way it should be.
So are your lists different? Are they kind of the same with what you think the benefits of exercise for just people in general is versus what you feel like the benefits in exercise are for yourself?
They're pretty similar. A couple differences.
Which one do you want to start with?
But
with
let's
everybody?
just go with like general population.
Okay.
So they were saying weight management, you know, so it's not really, you know, and everybody thinks of like exercise is going to lose, like you're going to lose weight if you exercise. It's like there's a whole lot of things that go into losing weight. So, you know, if your nutrition's on point, your sleep's on point, your stress management's on point, then
your
you're
hormones
getting your
are regulated.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things that go into. So think of exercise as just a piece of the puzzle in that. So weight management, stress management, that was the second one. The prevention of disease, protection of bones, joints, and muscles, and then just living longer. They said that 150 minutes a week you have a 33% lower risk of all-cause mortality.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, though. I don't really want to live that long. Like, I don't know if I want to be 90, to be honest. Like, I guess if I'm like a thriving, feeling good 90-year-old.
Exactly.
But if I'm like, I don't know, like if I'm just like huddled down with like a blanket over my legs every day and I'm not doing anything and I feel like crap and I'm like, at least specifically, like one of my grandmas was just basically like gave up on life. And towards the end there, I'm like, no, thank you. Yeah. Like, take me out sooner than that, please.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think what this is saying is that your quality of life would be better if you're exercising often.
Yeah.
But I agree with you 100%. Like if I'm at 75, if I stop losing function and capabilities of doing things, like, all right, check.
Yeah. Have you seen, I know you're not on social media, but like Training with Joan, like she's, you know, I think she might be in her 60s, 70s, and she went on like a weight loss journey and she's just a badass. Like she's got her like, you know, her white hair and she's got like the Golden Girls perm and she's just like doing workout videos on Instagram and stuff. Like it's awesome. Like, I'm like, yeah, like that kind of like, you know, when I get older, if it's that, like, then hell yeah. If it's just kind of like, oh my God, my bones are already cracking all the time.
Right.
Like if I'm just like in so much pain and I'm like, then yeah.
Well, I think that if you keep it moving, the body keeps responding and keeps, you know, you can mitigate the, you know, we're all going to get older. Like there's just no way.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like your body's going to break down.
Yeah.
I think that the more and more you can keep activity in your life, the less effect of aging that your body's going to have. So
I put for the benefits of everyone, which is similar to yours too, lowers risk of chronic disease, which is when we brought up Dr. Kyle Timmerman from Miami University. That was when we had a podcast discussion with him where it's like such a low amount of just general movement every day, like going for a walk. What it breaks down to like 10 minutes a day or something insane. Yeah. That alone just lowers your risk for chronic diseases like heart disease and stuff like that. So I think it's you feel like you're doing nothing, but you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
That I said combats depression, anxiety. You improve your sleep. That, you know, like we just mentioned, you improve your strength and endurance as we age, and I also said improves joint pain and stiffness.
Yeah.
So those were mine for my top 5 benefits for exercise for what I think is general population. What about yourself? What did you put for yourself?
Similar. So, I mean, stress, like that's, if I don't exercise, my stress level is infinitely greater than when I exercise. Energy, I mean, that's one thing. Brain fog, like that's like a huge thing. If I don't have regular exercise, I feel my brain's just not as sharp. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like spacey. I'm all over the place.
I agree with that.
Ability to perform life task, like that's just, you know, like I've looked at a lot of people that are my age and older or even younger, and it's like just going through normal daily activities. It's like, okay, we need to stop and rest and take a break. And it's like, we're just walking, you know, or we're carrying in groceries or whatever the case may be. You know, I just think that we don't see the carryover as much. And then it just regulates. I just put regulates life. You know, I think if you're working out, your nutrition's better, your sleep's better, just the ability to do daily, stay on task is better. So those were my top 5. What about you?
I put stress relief.
Yeah.
Mood booster.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely a change in mood. Like even just going into like I'm having a bad day, like I feel like trash, of just doing some exercise, whether it's go for a walk or it's, you know, gun it doing some sled pushes and kind of like beat myself up for a second to just be like, like kind of reset yourself.
Yes. Yeah, like recenters you. Like it just it brings you back to the present. You know, it's just, it makes you like, okay, that's what I needed.
It kind of clears out the like junk.
Yeah.
So that said being functional, same sort of thing of like today I had to like take a massive suitcase and put it in my car. And I'm like, I'm by myself. This thing is huge and it's heavy, but I can lift it up and put it in my car, like without any real struggle, like things like that. If I can go, if there's a box delivered, I can go pick it up and move it. If somebody needs me to help them move a couch, I can do those sorts of things, or carry in groceries and do it in like one haul, because I would like to max that out.
Yes. That's a good poll. How many people take multiple trips in the grocery to get their groceries from the car to the house?
Oh, only if it's absolutely necessary.
I mean, I'll load up the whole arm. Like,
same.
Let's go.
The time where you can't is like, at least for me, when there's like kitty litter or things like that, where there's just like jugs of something and you just like can't. I'm like, ugh, multiple trips.
You got bread and eggs on the end. You're just like, okay.
Yeah, right.
Don't break.
And one of those things too, I don't know if you do this or if this is just an OCD thing. In order to like, when things are so heavy like that and I'm trying to make those trips, it helps me to like count my steps, and I always count in 7s. So I'll just count like as I'm stepping or coming upstairs or whatever, just like if I'm focusing on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 instead of like how heavy it is, for some reason that helps me like power through that.
That's so mine's just breath. So I think about like short like exhales, like so it's kind of like it would be this similar of counting your breaths. What else? What other things do people do to get groceries from point A to point B?
There's a lot around this topic. Well, do you know what I've seen so many videos of? I know we're going to kind of go off the rails here for a second. Is people are like, have you ever noticed that you've never seen your neighbors bring in groceries before? And I'm like, I really haven't. My particular neighbors, like on my street, have I seen them like bring in all of their like Kroger bags? I'm like, I haven't.
Huh. That is interesting. There was an older lady that she would have me bringing her dog food, and she was always, it's just so heavy, and you know, I'd just pick it up out of her car, and she's like, "Oh my, that's it was just awesome."
Well, that's the same thing too with tall people, when like everybody's like amazed of like, "Can you reach this?" and they're just like pluck it off of a shelf. Like, oh my god! Like I had to climb up on the counter to do that.
Right.
So weird things and small things that amaze us.
Yeah.
So I had that. I also put on top, so stress relief, mood booster, being functional. I also put just being strong. That's a big one for me, of just the feeling of being strong, of like, I can lift these things. I can push this thing. Like feel physically stronger, which makes me feel mentally stronger.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge mindset even that goes into exercise. Also, I put building confidence because of like that strength. And at least for me, of something that I never used to do and would define myself of like, that's not me. I'm just not the type of person that does exercise or enjoys exercise, to kind of have that mind shift of like, well, maybe I do. And that's when I really started like walking and running, and then it kind of progressed from there. I'm like, oh my God, well, maybe I am this person. I do enjoy these things. And it just builds a different kind of confidence of, I don't know. It's hard to explain. And I think unless you've
I think
lived
that it's just the, you know, and that's where you could talk about like the extreme part of exercise. You know, if you have a weight that's relatively heavy for you, let's say a back squat, and your objective is to get to 12 reps and you're at 8 and it's like, okay, this is getting heavy.
Yeah.
And you get to 10 and you're like, okay, this is really getting heavy. And then you finally push it to 12 and you set it up and you're like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, and now you can even shift that of like, if you're somebody that's sedentary and it's like, I walked a quarter of a mile, you know, and like to your point, oh, that's nothing, right? But that's an accomplishment, and you've set out a goal and you did it, and then, you know, in 2 weeks you do a half mile or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I think that it just creates that, yes, I can do this kind of mentality, and then it's like, well, what else can I do? Like, I was able to do that. Why can't I try this? You know, and then you may fail at it, and it's like, all right, well, I wasn't ready to do that yet, and try again next week.
Well, I mean, that's why I just love the mindset of confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I mean, you know, maybe I don't hit the specific goal in this time frame I wanted, but I'm still going to keep doing it. I'm still going to keep trying. I told myself I was going to go for a walk every day. And when you stick to it, then that just builds.
Yeah.
And talking about things being small, like the first time I ran a mile without stopping, I was 30 years old. And most people do that. Like, you know, I did the Presidential Fitness Challenge and all that stuff when I was a kid. I was in PE.
Right.
And I still didn't do that. I didn't do that when I was 8 years old, and my body could have done it technically. And I didn't do it till I was 30 years old. And I mean, I ran 1 mile without stopping, which to a lot of people would be like, oh, whatever. That doesn't seem like a ton.
Right.
I mean, I stopped and cried in the middle of the street. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I just ran a mile without stopping.
Felt like Rocky playing in the background.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And then from there, I worked up to a 5K, and then I finished my first 5K, and then I started doing 10Ks, and then I did my first half marathon. And so it was just like, that didn't happen overnight. Like, I didn't run my first mile without stopping until like 8 or so months in of walking and then trying to start running. And then I didn't run my first 5K until maybe like 6 months after that, like official 5K, like in an actual race.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, I don't know, and patience isn't my thing, man. So it's like, but it's it's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
And so I had that. And then my last one I put kind of like that, along the same vein of those, is it allows me to do the things that I want in life. So for me, thinking about the things that I feel like are like life experiences and how I want to live my life, of like, I like traveling and thinking of summiting a mountain or running a race or doing all of these things, or going like boogie boarding in the ocean and having to get into a wetsuit, and then you're doing physical activity of like riding waves. Like, those are things where I'm like, that seems like life to me. That seems like fun. Those are things that I want to do in my life. And exercise allowed me to do those things. Before, my body wasn't, I mean, everything, you know, sleep, stress, nutrition, blah. Yeah. But like, to be physically in a healthy enough condition where I could do those and do it and enjoy it, and not be like, I'm dying, I'm in pain, I have to stop, this experience sucks. Like, exercise afforded me those things to like live my life. Like in 2019, when I got to, first off, just summit a mountain alone in the Canadian, Rocky Mountains in Banff. That was day one. And then after that, we like spent 4 days backpacking across a glacier with 40 pounds on my pack, hiking on ice. And I'm like, that was the coolest experience ever. Like that is experience that I couldn't have done without exercise getting me there and being strong enough to be able to hike it and hike on ice and carry a pack on me. And like that experience would have not happened if exercise didn't play a role in my life. And so I feel like that's such an important thing that isn't on a list when you Google benefits of exercise. Of it's like it can allow you to lead your best life, and not that everybody wants to have these like mountain summits and crap that I like, but could it be like go to Disney World with your kids and not be in pain and not like be out of breath and not feel uncomfortable in your own skin? Like that's living life.
Right. We could only do a half day because my knees won't allow me to walk a full day at Disney or whatever the case may be. You know, it's like, I think that, like you said, it's just we always think of exercise as like the aesthetics part of it, and we don't think about all of these other areas that it's going to affect in our life. And then it's just so hard to explain if you've never experienced it, because it is like the Staples Easy Button, you know, that commercial where it's just like, I don't know why all of this other stuff is falling into place, and then, you know, it boils down to exercise and just moving your body. Yeah.
And it's just, and that's where I think that everybody can have a different definition of what good exercise is, because I mean, for me, I'm like walking, I think will forever be my number one. Yeah. It just does a lot for me mentally and physically.
Well, and I think that that's probably a whole nother topic that you could get into, is like, do you think that the activity level that you're doing constitutes it as exercise, and the role that the brain plays on giving you those benefits, right? Because like for me, if I just walk, I don't attribute that. I know it's movement, and intellectually I know that it's exercise, but for my brain, it's not enough. Like I need that push, go hard, you know, and then that, and then my body's like, okay, that's exercise, right? So it's like you got to try to figure out what is exercise for you, and then, you know, play to your strengths.
Yeah. Do you know what I've been seeing a lot of? And I don't, maybe I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. I would like to do it, of thinking of just different ways to do fitness. And I've been seeing so many TikTok videos, and that I don't know, I just think like the pole dance fitness is super cool, because that's hard.
I'm sure.
That is insane upper body strength. Yeah. And plus it just looks cool. And then not only like the pole, but I've just seen like just some like provocative dancing exercise classes. I don't know. I just think it's like fun. And I'm like, that's a way to exercise. And like in these videos, like it's a class and all these other girls are like cheering these girls on, like, damn, yeah, get it. And it's just fun. And so I'm like, well, I know there's a pole dance fitness class in Cincinnati, but I'm like, it's out of the way. I don't have enough time, whatever. I think it'd be cool to do. But I mean, my answer to that was hula hooping, where I'm like, well, that's at least kind of going to get some hip movement in there, and kind of like brings that element to it. And so like, that's a thing too, where I think finding fitness where you're like, you're tricking yourself, like you're having fun, where you're doing like those dance classes or whatever it is, or like there's the bungee fitness class where you're bouncing around. I heard that just murders your crotch though. In a bad way.
Makes sense.
But like stuff like that, where it's just kind of like, that just seems fun. I think that'd be cool. Like I have zero dance experience. I have really terrible rhythm. Like I dance like drunk at a wedding reception. You know what I mean? Like it's not any sort of thing where you're like, she's got moves. Like, oh my God, is she okay? Is that concussion really still affecting her
over there? What is going on?
But it's like, but that also just kind of seems like fun and stepping out of a comfort zone in a way of like, yeah, that seems kind of like fun exercise, and you're kind of tricking yourself into it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate those sorts of things, because I think that a large amount of people do have, not only are you just used to this life where we're sitting so much and we're scrolling and we're not really, we have the ability to not be active is pretty damn high.
Oh yeah.
And so if you can find something where you're just kind of like, that just seems like fun, and the exercise is just kind of the side project of the fun activity. Like for me, like hiking and kayaking and doing all sorts of, like, those seem fun as hell, but you're also exercising on top of it. I'm not doing it for the sole purpose of exercise. Like when you think of like just going to the gym.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really appreciate those sorts of things. And I really appreciate people that also experiment with trying to, hey, let's try this and see if I like it. And I think that's also what makes you stick to a regular exercise routine, hearing all of these benefits for us personally, and just knowing, chronic disease and all this stuff that's like not as like, I mean, it's important, but it's not sexy.
Right. Prevention of chronic disease. No, who cares?
Well, obviously people don't.
Valid.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Very true. Very true. Touche.
So I think that, if you just see it from the lens of like, how can I have fun but move my body at the same time and have all of these benefits while I'm working towards, again, like the life you want to live. Like, it'd be fun to learn like how to dance and do those things. It'd be fun to like know how to swing on a pole. Plus, backup job options.
Oh, jeez. Got to do some market research.
Yeah. I'm going to see if the brass ass is hiring. Pick up some part-time work. Get some cash on hand. So I don't know. I just think that there's so many different ways to look at exercise. And I think just from, culturally, speaking from the United States anyway, because I know there's people that listen in other countries and I don't have experience living in another country. It's exercise has this mindset of like, you just go to a box gym and you just, you do bicep curls and you get on the elliptical and you do the thing and then you leave, and that's what exercise is.
It has to be structured. It has to be this perfect program of 3 sets of 12 reps. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that specific. Like if your goal's that specific, then yes, it has to be specific. But if your goal is just general health, what's that?
Or boot camp classes. I think that's what you either think of, like kind of like that gym bro sort of exercise sort of thing, or you just think of like a boot camp or a spin class, or like, those like a group fitness sort of class, which I'm not knocking that.
Right.
But it's just like, that's your only vision of exercise and that doesn't blow your skirt up, then there's a lot more options if you just kind of look at it from a different lens, I think.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I think that a lot of people, they quote unquote hate exercise because they don't think of the activities that they like to do as exercise, just what you're alluding to. So I mean, I think that if people just kind of shifted their thought process around it and, okay, well, what do I do that I move my body? Do more of that.
Yeah. Do you have any like guilty pleasure exercise?
What do you mean?
Like something that you're just kind of like, oh, you know what? I guess, again, thinking of like, if somebody saw me doing this, it'd be like, what is he doing? Like, oh, I actually like doing higher reps with 5-pound weights.
Oh.
Like that sort of thing. Or like, hey, I'd actually like really like Zumba or jazzercise, you know what I mean? Or something like that you wouldn't think traditionally would fit your role of what exercise is.
Yeah, yoga. I mean,
okay.
that was the one that I just, I didn't realize how much benefit yoga has in strength training. Intellectually it makes sense now. It's like, well, duh, if your body's more flexible and it's in a better position, of course you're going to be able to get stronger in that position. But if you would have talked to my 25-year-old self and said that, hey, at 35 you're going to be doing yoga on a regular basis, I'd be like, what? No.
Would you think that you would be more like, oh my God, what about yoga or all the breathing stuff that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that those kind of go in conjunction with each other. I mean, yoga and breathing it's like you can't have one without the other. Like that's what yoga is learning how to move your body in a way, and then you get into this position and your body just chooses to get into that position and stop breathing. That's not a good position. Take it off a little bit, breathe into that. I mean, all the non-traditional stuff that I've gotten into with strength training, definitely, at 25, I would have never thought that was something that I would get into, or that it would just have as much benefit.
Yeah.
You always think of it kind of like as one or the other. Like you got your yogis and then you got your strength athletes. It's like there's very few blending of the two. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing in society is changing of, hey, no, there's a lot of benefits to yoga even if you are a strength athlete,
Yeah.
and vice versa. You know, if you're a yogi, you should do some strength training. You know,
Yeah.
there's the cross training is very applicable in making the overall person healthier. But yeah, I mean, there's no way that I would have ever thought that I would have gotten into that stuff.
But I think that's exactly proving my point of like willing to be experimental and try different stuff and see like how it vibes with you. Like 25-year-old you that didn't really vibe at the time, but now with you now it does. And you are willing to try it and feel it out. And that's why I think that, you know, one, I mean, this is your profession and you own a gym and you're a trainer, but just like you as a person, that it's like, well, that keeps you wanting to exercise, of kind of mixing it up and seeing how differently your body can feel and using your body in different ways as you age and having that. I don't know. I just think that's awesome because that's just so much where my belief around exercise is, and to then like watch people like live that in person and be like, yeah, well, I didn't think I was going to like yoga, but I tried it.
Yeah.
And I do. And I'm still willing to exercise and make it part of my regular routine because I'm continuously trying things and doing things that push me out of a comfort zone, and I enjoy it. So I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of your path as well. It's just opposite. You know, you came from walking all the time to now you're teaching people how to lift weights.
Yeah, that's weird. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah. You're a professional trainer.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm a professional anything.
Wow.
Well, on that note, you do have to go upstairs and train somebody right now. So you're not accepting new clients, but I am. And so you can send me an email, Amanda@AmandaValentineBites.com, Cincy360fitness.com. Anything else you would like to add?
Nope. Just get out and move.
Okay. Bye,
See ya.
Josh.
AmandaValentineBites.com.